What's up, guys? I got another deck list for you today. Now, this one is Restored Gohan ally list that I've been running in my own kind of personal testing gauntlets for a while. There's only one slight difference between my in-person build that I have in the physical cards and my build that I have on Octagon here, and that is I don't actually have Super Shenron in my physical build, mostly because I just didn't have the Super Shenron card yet for the longest time, and that was like why I wasn't running it. And then I think I eventually did get it, and I think I threw it in another deck. I don't even know actually at this point if I had it, if it came in the latest set of proxies that just came out or not. But I wasn't running it. I opted to make a spot for it, which is I was originally running a 3 of Salvo, and I ended up cutting one of those to make room for the Super Shenron, which I think is worth it. But might be the wrong card to cut. We'll see. But this deck is really similar to like the old Restored Gohan lists back in the day. It's I mean, all it is really trying to do is you just try to stall the game out with the ally blocks. You're rejuvenating a bunch between Purunga ally, Korin ally if you do actually get hit by an attack, and then you use cards like Namekian hybrid defense to loop cards back in your deck. There's some really good synergies with things like Hospitality Drill in your level 2 as well to give you extra added life and longevity. There are a few card choices in here that are definitely meta dependent and definitely personal choice, and there's a couple cards that I didn't run. That are going to be personal choice as well as maybe meta. So we'll kind of get into the choices real quick. But this is generally the rough list. Most of this list is going to be pretty similar across most builds you're going to see. But you're going to be seeing the Vengeance 1, of course, Awakening 2. I really just think that you're probably never really going to go to the level 3. But the ultimate 3 and 4 are just so good at putting cards back in your deck. This 3 alone, being able to loop hybrid defense, being able to use this 3 to rejuvenate things like flinch and crossguard if you were to get bumped up to recover your drills, wouldn't be too terrible. So I just don't think the Awakening 3 really has a place anymore. I mean, back it used to be your only option for the longest time until the Future Gone stack before they separated those. But you're pretty much never going to hit this 3. You might slime there occasionally with the Mastery, but I've yet to do that. I usually don't really discard my Dragon Ball super often with the Mastery, so something to think about. But I run, of course, the main ball searchers, Radar and Dragon Clan, just because they actually, the Namekian Dragon Balls are busted, so there's really no reason not to run them. I have Namekian Wish in here as well. Very, very strong card. There's a lot of rejuvenation effects. It's really easy to get a lot of Dragon Balls stacked up on the table too. So the rejuvenation in this card can be really, really strong. Not to mention, most of the time, you're going to be trying to have at least 1 or 2 blocks on the board with the allies. Allies to redirect stage damage too, so you can usually survive, taking an action from somebody to be able to pop this to get out of the bad combat. Like I said, all 7 Namek Dragon Balls. The ally choices are mostly tech. You're going to see most of these in every build, though. Yajirobe prevents things like Red Relaxation, Vegeta's Prideful Challenge from activating, so this card is incredibly dependent on the right matchup. I run Piccolo ally and Chi-Chi ally, of course. Those are you're always going to see. Korin, you're not always going to see, but it's pretty good. Sometimes, if you're afraid of putting out a certain ally until you have some of the protector allies on the board, and by that I mean Icarus or Super Shenron, you might want to put Korin out to help kind of keep you from getting just run over by an aggro deck. But really, really good. Probably the weakest of the allies, honestly. But some games he kind of comes in pretty clutch, give you a little extra heal. But I said that I had cut a Salvo for Super Shenron, which I'll get to. I guess I'll just jump to him now. I could definitely see Korin being a cut, because after a point you just kind of block everything, and getting hit by, sometimes you really only get like 1 rejuve off him a combat at best. But I still think he's worth at least keeping in for now. Purunga ally, stupid good, stupid synergy with the Mastery, stupid synergy with Gohan 2. What's nice is that because he makes you rejuve the card after you discard, any player discards a card, opponents using like Black Mistress Mastery against you, people using Resolute and commanding against you, giving you free heals. The fact that he rejuvenates gives you access to all these rejuvenation effects that you have in your deck, which is really, really good. Pretty much makes your Mastery and your level 2 free, which is really, really strong. I think he's one of the key allies of the deck. When he came out, he was incredible, and continues to be very, very good card. I've already talked about Chi-Chi and Piccolo both just being onboard blocks. Kami ally, of course. Really key in this deck, you are going to be using certain effects to put him out of play, but he is really good. You're going to be playing a lot of non-combats. I think there's 24 or 25 in this build. So getting him out is actually really helpful to helping you recover and stabilize. Um, Between Gohan being able to search out a lot of these cards and a lot of your cards tutoring out allies and Dragon Balls, it's you can get down on life cards and start stabilizing very, very fast. And Kami's just an added bonus to that. Not to mention his effect of when he leaves play is very, very key to this deck. Super Shredder, of course. This is kind of an ally that you don't really want to play until the end of the game, but he is pretty good if you're really worried about cards like Red Energy Blast, Orange Stare Down, especially Blue Betrayal to a lower extent, but he's always good to pop out early for that reason. Ever since Icarus got changed and nerfed, but you generally this card lets you play a little bit looser. Like I said, sometimes you might be afraid to put blocker allies out because you're afraid of them getting banished or something. Um, because of Super Shenron, I could see Corrin just not really mattering because Corrin would kind of be used to be my pick to put out and play instead of them. Um, but with Super Shenron, it's kind of like you can play a little bit looser with the allies because you get to take one out from the banished zone when he enters play. Not to mention he has a protection effect, which puts them right back in your deck, which is really good. Baba is really good. I don't like playing her outside of Gohan level 2, like ally decks, but she's so good in this. Lets you know what you need to toolbox out, what block you can get. Very, very strong. At worst, she puts endurance on your allies. You're not really going to want to be banishing your allies, but if you really needed it in a clutch situation to prevent like a ball cap or dying, it's there. But very, very strong effect for sure. Ox King, of course, very, very key in certain matchups, very much like Yajirobe. He's got a great effect. He's an ally that you can bounce in and out of play like Kami for good effect as well. And then Bulma is kind of one of those cards that like very opportunistic. If you get a lucky life card chip or your opponent is negligent and they put the wrong card in the discard pile, you can shut off entire decks and kill tech cards like Red Energy Blast, Orange Stare Down by grabbing them with Bulma and Unleashed as well. It's a really good suite. Like I said, Corrin's the weakest. I could see him getting cut because Super Shonen exists, and makes it so it's a little less like risky to put my blocker allies out. But I'll keep it at the 9 for now and do some more testing. I run 4 drills. I run 2 assistance drill. I thought about cutting down to 1, but this card is just busted. It's super easy to stack up your allies on board for this card. You do lose it when you level with Gohan, but another reason to have it at 2. I mean, there are ways to recover it out of pile, and you can always rejuvenate it, but this card is just really strong. You completely flip the game over on its head when Gohan can just sit on 2 with multiple allies on the table, giving him effects, plus the hand advantage of assistance drill and the tutoring and filtering. It's just such a strong lock combo. It almost wants to be at a 3. I don't think it's necessary. Hospitality drill and harvesting drill. Harvesting drill, you could even go up to 2. For a while, there's a lot of black decks in the meta, but somebody's giving me a call. But I really like harvesting drill. Very strong. Just really helpful. I mean, orange shopping drill is good for a reason, and you can bounce this card into play pretty easily with things like cross guards. So really strong. If you think a lot of black's gonna be around, you should probably play 2 of this. But hospitality drill is another card that one of. This card's really good. It's not necessary and not a key part of the deck, which is why it's at a 1. But the instant effect is incredible. Not to mention another card to hand filter. Again, if you get Purunga ally out, this is essentially like you just get a free hand scry, or not scry, but a free hand filter. Again, just another really good card. Adds to longevity. It's just kind of like one of those pieces that you don't really want out till you're kind of set up with other stuff. So that's why it's at a 1. But all of these cards, all these board cards, do a lot of stuff. Most of them are just generally good every game. A few of them are really only good in certain matchups at certain times, but they are all very powerful. And the fact that most of them can be searched out in some sort of way makes them incredibly, really powerful. And it's just one of the reasons why Gohan Ally is just such a great toolbox, no matter what style you put him in, but especially Namekian. There's just so much going for him. I have a lot of events, or not so much. Sorry, I don't actually have a lot of events, which is like really interesting. A lot of Namekian decks play a ton of events. It's kind of one of the reasons I can justify not running Sphere in the deck. I opted to go Confrontation. I like to be able, between the hand knowledge and everything, yeah, my opponents can get events, but I don't run a lot of events. I like being able to pick, their tech attacks out, the really powerful cards I need to worry about. Not to mention, Confrontation is essentially a block. You can always take an attack. So just the pure amount of defensive power that the deck gets from the allies being able to soak stage damage, having the blocks on them, and not to mention Confrontation and the high block count in the deck makes it really, really hard to hit you because all you're really trying to do with the deck is stabilize. You just stabilize, rejuvenate, you loop effects that you need, loop tech cards that you need, and you just try to ball slowly or kill them slowly by outlasting them. Which is why a lot of the attacks you'll see are all attacks with anti-aggro effects or some sort of critical damage effect. They're just mostly utility that you can loop, which makes it so powerful. But Confrontation at 2, you can loop these back in. It's freestyle, no endurance. That's the only downside to it. But it's really easy to get back into the deck. You can't search it, but again, 2 of. Hurried Quest at 1, not always going to want this card. You really don't want this card unless you set up. There's so much other stuff that you could draw into that might make this card not good. Really, you can just kind of save it for when you really, really need to like abuse a ball 4 or ball 2. That's really what it's for. Maybe even a ball 7. It's a good card. Very, very good card. I could see it coming at 2, but I just really like it at 1 because a lot of times, I'm not prioritizing certain Dragon Balls getting out necessarily. And I don't really benefit off of like doing things like ball 5 and 3 like you would in knowledge. So I think this card is a plenty good one. It's always good to recover your balls if they take them too, so that's really why I like it at 1. Time, of course. Hybrid is the best card in the deck. Don't really need to explain why, but there's so many cards that have effects when rejuvenated. Multiple cards with rejuvenation effects. This just allows you to set up your level 2 so well. You just keep looping these together with each other and just research them out with Gohan, putting multiple cards back in your deck. It's just the lock. Reinforced block at 2. Actually, I don't have it out. I gotta look in my deck here. I have I'm missing actually because it's a 1 of. I like this card at 2. This is like only really certain specific matchups that you want this card. It's got endurance on it. If you're really worried about getting your face spit in really bad in a turn by a physical deck, you go just search this so that way you don't lose your Dragon Balls. That's really what it's for. I could almost see the argument made to run Namekian Stance for the same reason, but there's a lot of endurance in the deck and other things. But I like this at 2 of. I run 1 of Clamp because this is recoverable and big endurance. Mostly the fact that it just puts itself back in means that I don't have to prioritize physical blocks as much in the physical matchup. And it's a deck shuffle, which is really, really nice, actually. I mean, I have plenty of it going on, but deck shuffles, especially with the amount of rejuvenation going on, and the fact that I'm running Dragon Balls kind of helps. It's just an extra adder, but I really like it as a 1 of. I could see it just getting cut for a 3rd one of these, but I really like the fact that if I'm not necessarily worried about getting crit, it's just a recyclable block, which you're almost always going to get hybrid. 3 flinch, of course. Dumb card. Just you can pass on this and get a free ally. You can grab multiple of these out of the pile with hybrid defense to get multiple allies out after you've been taking some damage. Same thing with crossguard is the same with the drills. If you level and you had drills out, you just go hybrid these back into play, which is really good. Both flinch and crossguard, like I said with the interaction with Purunga, you can just drop them out of your hand and instantly rejuvenate them for effect, which is super powerful as well. And then buffer because it's got endurance. I really wish this wasn't banished after use. That's really why I don't like buffer, but just endurance 3 rejuve 3 is just too powerful. The attack lineup, I don't run Namekian Straining Assault or Blast. I forget what it's called. I don't feel it's necessary in my build. It doesn't benefit as much in my build because I don't get use of the parenthetical. I could be wrong. It could be honestly a better choice than Overpowering Attack because Overpowering Attack is freestyle. And Straining Assault is a guaranteed grab that's a styled card. Maybe I'm wrong for not running it. I could totally see myself adding it. Like I said, I could even just right now, I could justify dropping Korin for it. again, that's just one of the other cards that I would consider throwing back in. But I haven't really tested with it personally, so, and I don't like that you have to pay 5 stages at least to use it. But again, certain matchups, you know. But of course, 3 confident burst, overpowering attack, you just can loop these super easy. Another reason why I like confrontation is because it makes it easier to land confident burst, especially if you can see one or both of these cards early game, especially together. They're just so powerful. If you can land confident burst, just really gets you set up fast. I run 2 salvo. I had 3, like I said, cut 1 down, but really good card. Really just kind of like use it mostly for like when you really need to, but potentially an anti-anger 4 because you can deal critical damage with it on top of getting crits. So really good for taking the balls back. As far as taking balls back goes, on top of that, Optic Blast 2 for the knowledge matchup, other Dragon Ball decks, and also just high endurance decks. Just another way to get the balls back. You're not always going to need it, so it's a 2. You can't search it, which is a bummer, but oh well. I run 3 Maxwell because anti-anger is king. Resourceful shot, just a clutch when you need it for whatever you need it. There's going to be plenty of dead cards that you might just be willing to banish to use it, but you just let these sit in the pile for the most part. And then team up. Team up is really powerful. Lets me loop Ox King and Kami to get balls out. So I can cheat balls up by just shuffling Kami back in, and I can shuffle Ox King and then put it back into play for extra rejuve. So a lot of rejuvenation, a lot of healing goes, a lot of stability, especially once you get the board set up. It's just kind of like those first like 2-3 turns of the game can be scary, depending on how the attacking and passing is going. Ideally you're just trying to drop a few board cards early. You might get some hands that are pretty board heavy early game, but you can always pitch the Dragon Balls out for a block against an aggro deck. You can always start a block ally with Gohan level 1. And there are a lot of blocks in the deck, and all the blocks for the most part have endurance, except like flinch and hybrid. So, and all the attacks, pretty much a lot of the attacks have endurance as well. So, there's just a lot of defensive power, a lot of stability that comes with it. Really easy to set up. It's super abusable. Even if your opponent starts killing your allies, you have ways to protect the allies with Icarus, as well as Super Shenron. Super Shenron, of course, can recur them. He's another ally that you can bounce out of play to put back into play to get an ally, should you need to, as well. So there's just a lot of cool stuff with this. Like I said, maybe there are some cards like Straining Assault, for example, I believe it's Straining Assault. Sorry, Tom, that I can't remember the name of the card offhand. I was just looking at it though, but or maybe a Hybrid Defense more. Maybe you want more of those. Maybe you think Sphere should be in here. I could see an argument for Sphere for sure. Wolf would be a decent card too. A lot of cards could come in, but I think this is just a pretty good template. I think for the most part, wouldn't really change. Just kind of a couple personal choices in numbers and card choices. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. It's a really fun deck. I'm not really usually an ally player, but I've been playing it a lot more lately, and I've really come to enjoy this deck quite a bit. Just stabilizes really hard. Doesn't you got all the answers for every matchup that you need. I think one thing to mention is that Krillin Ally is not in here, which can make you kind of susceptible to drill decks, but against drill decks you can kind of just like spam the board with allies, and you have Dragon Balls. You can also use Ball 4, not granted maybe only a couple times in the game, but something to consider. But I could see one thing. I guess you almost don't really need the ball shufflers too bad. Like Double Strike would be another card too, but because your mastery lets you shuffle Dragon Balls back into your deck if you want to, you could definitely abuse Ball 2 and 4 in the MPPV and board meta and matchups. So they're kind of the reasons why I think you can get away with like not having Krillin Ally. Plus Krillin Ally kills your drills as well. So and Ball 2 of course just along with all the energy attacks like lowering anger. Anger shouldn't necessarily be an issue. So, well, I'd like to hear what you guys think. Maybe you think I should be running a couple cards. Maybe there are different builds that you want to try. I really like this deck though, and I'd love to hear from everybody. Hopefully, you guys have been teaming with the previews. Of course, I'll link the fancytcg.wordpress.com in the description. But I've been really excited for Janemba. I've been playing him a ton, hearing from a lot of people about him. I guess we'll see what the final rulings are on some of his interactions. But really excited for the next set. Excited to just kind of play some more cards here and there. But I hope you guys are all doing good. So take it easy. Peace.